We're always talking about something here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani. Good to be back with you. I missed the show yesterday. A couple of things came up, but I was listening off and on throughout the show, and it was absolutely amazing. If you didn't get a chance to listen yesterday, I encourage you to go to take2show.com and listen to the program on moving past devastating disappointments in life. Debbie, there were some amazing calls yesterday.
Oh my goodness, it just blew me away. But I did pull a Jerry, I have to tell you. I went to Mary Lou in Syracuse, New York with only 60 seconds to go, Jerry. I thought I'd be like you. I wanted to be like you when I grow up. And so, but I tell you what, Mary Lou hit a home run. Mary Lou, if you're listening, thank you again. You just summed up the entire show. And because of that, I just wanted to mention again that we pick one call during the hour that we pick as we call it our short take, the call that encapsulates the theme, the purpose of the show. And we voted for you yesterday, Mary Lou, because you just nailed it. And it's just it was an exciting show, Jerry, because everybody shared from their heart. We had some really incredible stories that I keep thinking about and praying about and thinking, wow, some people have really lived through a lot of devastating things and live to tell about it, have the joy that they can experience now. And it was really a remarkable show. So I agree with you, Jerry. I encourage our listeners to go back and listen to it.
Well, today we're going to be talking about trying to cut a deal with God. Have you ever tried to do that? We're all familiar with the stories of people who say, okay, God, I'll never do fill in the blank again if you help me out of this situation right now. Or, Lord, for the rest of my life, I promise I'll pray a rosary every day if you just help me out right now. Or similar situations. Can God be kind of moved to do things in our lives by what we promise Him? And obviously we're weak, we're human, we're frail, and so God, if we were to try and do something like that and maybe forgot one day or didn't ultimately uphold the end of the bargain, God's not gonna turn on us or anything. But have you ever thought about this? Have you ever tried to maybe negotiate with God?
I'm chuckling because I think I do that on a regular basis. Well, don't you kind of think it's sort of natural if something's going on in your life? You're like, okay, Lord, please. It's almost like you want to offer something back to God. Like you're saying, I'll make you the deal. If you help me, I'll do this. And so it's almost like a natural kind of, I think, a human nature to almost want to offer something back in return for the generosity or the favor that God bestows on us. The reason why I'm saying that, Jerry, is I full disclosure here, I recently fell by accident and hit the back of my head, and I actually, the doctors think I suffered a mild concussion, and I'm having the after effects of that. So if anybody's gone through it, that my eye is actually twitching and little things are happening, and so it's funny that we're doing the show because actually yesterday as I was driving home from the doctor's office, I was praying. I'm like, okay, Lord, what can I do? If you just take away all this pain in my head, I'll do this. And then I looked at our show topic and I started laughing. I thought, is this not appropriate? Here I was doing it.
1-800-585-9396. We've got Nancy on the line already and some others, and we have a couple of phone lines still open. Remember, call in early on the show if you have a take to share. We want to make sure that we get you on, and you could really, again, inspire, educate, enlighten. 1-800-585-9396. If you've been in a situation where you needed God's help, really kind of in an immediate way, or maybe it wasn't so urgent, but you thought in your mind, maybe you didn't even promise God something, but you made a resolution in your mind and your heart. You said, boy, if God helps me out of this situation, I'm really going to make this change in my life or that change, or I'm going to start spending more time in prayer, go to daily mass, or just do something, treat other people with more love and charity and compassion. How have you had that kind of dialogue, that negotiation with God? I want to hear from you.
1-800-585-9396. You're making me think, Jerry, about this family that I know that actually prayed for a long time to be able to have children. And this was many years ago. And the mom actually kind of basically made a deal with God saying, if you give me children, I'll work very hard to produce vocations in the family. And sure enough, her son became a priest He's an amazing priest. I know him very well. But it was the story that he tells in a homily that his mom kind of made a deal with God. You give me children, I'll work hard to give you vocations. So I don't know. Jerry, I wonder, is it okay that we do that? Or is it just, what is God, I wonder what God is thinking. He's probably thinking, oh my goodness, these human beings I created.
Well, maybe it wasn't beforehand. Maybe it was after the fact. Maybe you received really a great blessing, some kind of wonderful gift from God, and you just afterwards you just thought, in gratitude, I'm going to maybe make some amendment to my life or add something to my life just to show my gratitude to God. It doesn't even really have to be on the front end where we say, okay, God, I want to try and make a deal with you, but maybe you just recognized how He's blessed you in some really profound way, and as a sign of your gratitude, you just took up something to show that to God. 800-585-9396. You can text the letters EWTN to 55000 and get in on the program that way as well.
And we're getting messages on Facebook and YouTube. And hi to the YouTube family. You guys are chatting away. And thank you for the nice comments yesterday. I really appreciate it. Apparently, Jerry, I was on full screen. I guess we share a split screen. And I was on full screen. So some of the fine folks that are watching on Facebook said they noticed my crown of thorns prints over my left shoulder. And yes, that is the Crown of Thorn prints. Absolutely, it's one of my favorite prints. I have it actually 3 places in my home. I absolutely love it. So just wanted to say hi to all of you, and please call in right now because your participation is going to make a difference. Believe me, it does. 1-800-585-9396.
Talking about negotiating with God, bargaining with God, or again, we can just say maybe it's just been impressed upon your heart out of gratitude. You decided to do something in return for God's favor. 1-800-585-9396. Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie on a Friday.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck, and this is an EWTN Bookmark Brief. I'm speaking here with Denise Bossert. I just finished an interview on her book, Gifts of the Visitation. 9 Spiritual Encounters with Mary and Elizabeth is the title. So tell us, Denise, what's this book about?
Well, the Visitation, I believe, is a blueprint for evangelizing. Our Lady makes it look like it's what we're born to do because it is what we're born to do. And we discover from her that the first thing she does after receiving our Lord is to go and share Him with her relative Elizabeth. So she is the Christ sharer, the Christ bearer, and she calls us too, upon receiving the Eucharist, to be sent out, to go out and share and bear Christ.
Thank you so much, Denise Bossert. The book is Gifts of the Visitation, 9 Spiritual Encounters with Mary and Elizabeth, published by Ave Maria Press, available through the EWTN Religious Catalog, EWTNRC.com. Look for the entire interview coming soon to EWTN on Bookmark, and this has been an EWTN Bookmark Brief, and thanks for joining us.
Be touched by the sacredness of the Most Blessed Sacrament, the resting place of Mother Angelica, plus tour the EWTN campus. Start your Catholic pilgrimage today with EWTN. Call 205-271-2966.
Catherine Zeltner.
There are so many misconceptions when it comes to abortion and assisted suicide. It's really confusing, and I think for a lot of people, they don't know how to talk about these things. EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, we help to change that. We help to really untangle these web of lies. Listeners can expect to become informed and then grow more confident so they can then discuss and dialogue these issues, and together we can really impact culture in that way.
EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, Sunday morning at 10 a.m. on EWTN Radio.
This is Matthew Bunson, co-host of Register Radio.
This is Lauren Ashburn, EWTN News Nightly anchor and managing editor.
This is Archbishop Robert Carlson, the Archbishop of St. Louis. Thanks for listening to EWTN Radio.
Well, phone lines are lighting up. That's a good sign. We need you to jump in, though, at 1-800-585-9396. I'm glad Jerry reminded me it's Friday. We're here at the weekend. That is awesome. But we don't want you to start your weekend yet. We want you to spend this hour with us and talk about, is God open to negotiation? That's what we're talking about today on Take Two. So jump in when you can.
Okay, we're going to go to the phones here. Suzy got in first in Colorado Springs, Colorado, listening on Denver Catholic Radio. Hi, Suzy. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hey guys, long time no hear. Your
How you
favorite little
doing?
widow, military widow from Colorado.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bless
Hi,
your heart.
Suzy.
How are you guys?
Doing
Good,
well. How are you and the kids?
Well, we're doing good. My daughter received a full scholarship to go to a Catholic high school, so I have a high schooler now, a freshman, and then my son's in 5th grade. So both still in Catholic school, and we're all still doing good.
Awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yep. So, yeah, I negotiated with God. When I was pregnant with David Jr., my husband had to keep going back and forth to, like, Japan and Korea and places. And one time he stopped moving. And because I was older, I was over 37 when I had David, they told me this child possibly has Down syndrome. You know, your blood work, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay. They said, do you want to abort the child? And I just looked at them like they were crazy. I was like, no. And I was David was gone at the time. I was scared. And they did a full ultrasound. They said, we don't think he has a big nose. Your husband has a big nose. I said, yes. They said, well, I think he's going to be fine. But I did negotiate with God. I said, if Junior is healthy when he comes out and he is not with Down syndrome, I will, if anything ever happens to David, my husband, that I will become a nun once the children are older. Wow. And I have not received the call yet from God, but I have again thrown myself into a theology master's degree, and I'm very much trying to help out in the high school and the David school K through 8. So I'm doing as much as I can, and now I'm involved in Life Team. So I'm really giving myself to my children and to God. So I negotiated.
Beautiful.
Wow, that is absolutely beautiful, Suzy, and you've got time for that to possibly unfold in your life, and you sound, as always, just really filled with joy and peace and happiness, and these kids are so blessed to have you as their mother. And I know actually a woman in Fort Wayne, Indiana, who her kids were older. She's got grandkids now, and she actually entered a cloistered convent in her 60s, and is just so filled with joy. I get letters from her that are just gushing with just this joy, and she has just found that place where God wanted her. Her husband had passed away, and so we'll keep that in our prayers, Suzy, for sure. And Debbie, I know that you're equally inspired by this. This is amazing. I'd never heard of. Yeah.
Yeah, Suzy, every single time that you call, I don't know what it is, but you give me such a shot of energy and enthusiasm. I'm so glad that you are active in, you said theology, and then your ministry and Life Teen. I mean, you have so much to give, and you're just an amazing person. I know we tell you that every time you call, but you are.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just waiting for God to either call me or send me someone, because I am open, thought about the Third Order as well. So I'm just kind of praying and saying, okay, it's time for you to guide me. You've got David in heaven. Now guide me where you want me to be. And I know he wants me with the kids right now. So I'm just waiting for the future to see what happens.
Wow.
Well, the beautiful thing about this, Suzy, that I am taking away is your openness, your generosity back to God. He may not call you to be a sister, to be a nun, but the fact that you are that generous with Him is really just going to open up, and probably has already, a flood of many graces and blessings, and it sounds like it has. So.
Oh yeah, being able to get that scholarship, because it's very expensive to go to Catholic high school, was nothing short of a miracle. And she's happy, she's excited, she's not scared, and these teachers are wonderful. It's an amazing environment at St. Mary's, and then my son, 2 amazing teachers this year as well. So this is going to be a good year for this little family.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Keep us posted, because we like to journey with you, with your family, if you would do that. I know you do.
Oh,
so.
I totally will.
Okay. Thanks, Suzy. Say hi to
Blessings,
the kids for
guys.
us. You too.
Blessings to you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. What a great way to start.
I love her. She's so sweet.
Talking about negotiating with God, making bargains, offering things to Him even after He has blessed us in some way. 1-800-585-9396. Down to Louisiana. Hi, Samantha, listening on Sirius XM 130. You are next on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. Hello, Samantha.
Hi, love. God and I negotiated when I was 18, I believe, because 17, I was in a really bad accident, and I suffered a traumatic brain injury. I was in a coma for a little bit, and I had to learn how to walk, talk, and feel all over again. It was a little bit of a struggle, and I say little bit because God helped me through all of it. I persevered in prayer, and I I made a negotiation with him because in my recovery, I was alone. I was single, and I told him that for Lent, I will say a rosary and come to chapel every day. And if he could please tell me if he wants me to marry somebody or become a nun, because I was good with either one. And God sent me rest. And we are now going on our second anniversary, and we are currently praying for children.
Wow.
Amazing.
Samantha, go ahead, Deb. I'll let you.
No, I just want to say, Samantha, I'm listening to your story, and I don't know if you heard at the beginning of the show, I shared that I'd fallen and I have this little bump on my head and I'm listening to your story, and the whole time I'm thinking, okay, Lord, mine is so insignificant compared to what you've been through, Samantha, and you walked with the Lord so closely, and so I thank you. What? I'm sorry?
I said I had to.
Yeah, it's amazing. Your story is amazing. It really touched my heart in a deep way. Jerry?
Well, again, like with Suzy a few minutes ago, you had that openness, Samantha, that generosity. Really, it was kind of like, God, I'll do whatever you want to do. And sometimes we understand in the spiritual life that God allows trials and challenges to come into our lives to kind of sort of crack our hearts open so that we have that disposition where we say, God, okay, all right, whatever it is that you want. And Samantha, you said you were open to being religious. You were open to God bringing you someone to love, which that has happened. And we're definitely going to ask God. And my patron saint is St. Gerard, and that's Debbie's husband's middle name, the patron saint of mothers. And we're going to ask St. Gerard and all the saints to intercede for you, that if it's God's will, we pray that it is, that they grant you many, many beautiful little ones to bring into this world.
Absolutely, Samantha.
Crazy enough, if God doesn't want me to have any, me and my husband are so very open for adoption. And I just wanted to add, in my recovery, I couldn't talk. I couldn't convey emotions. My speech was like a baby. Yeah, very not very coherent. I had to get feeling back in my mouth, if that makes any sense, because we speak so freely. It just doesn't even occur to us. We use a lot of those muscles in our mouth. And it was one morning, I woke up and I was just extra not feeling good, and it just so happened Mother Angelica spoke to me on the TV. I had never seen this beautiful little gift that God gave us ever. And that was my first experience with her, and that led me to the negotiation with our Father.
Wow, that's a great story. I hope all the EWTN executives are listening right now, because it'll reaffirm.
They listen every day.
Oh, good. Because Samantha, that's so. Mother has touched so many people, and a lot of people don't convey that back, and you just did to the world, and I think that is wonderful, because I mean, we know she was so gifted and blessed in her ability to minister to all of us, but it's wonderful that she touched you in that real and personal way.
Well, thank you. I wanted to share.
You sound great now, Samantha. It sounds like you're doing well. We hope and pray.
Well, it's been 11 years, I want to say. I'm not very good at math. That was before the accident.
Okay. Well, you go with our prayers and love, Samantha, and we ask you to remember us in your prayers. And beautiful, one way or another, it sounds like you're going to have beautiful little children in that home. So thank you, Samantha. God bless you for your call. Always great to hear from someone so open to God like that, as well as Suzy. So
absolutely.
1-800-585-9396. Talking about negotiating with God.
2 great calls. Okay, Joe, no pressure in Texas, listening on Sirius XM 130. No pressure, Joe, but you got to follow Suzy and Samantha. How you doing, Joe? Hi,
Hello?
Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Joe.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, Joe. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm doing fine. I just, I'm trying to negotiate with God because I'm really going through a hard time right now. And I've been drinking a lot, and I don't want to lose my job, and just I feel kind of sad right now. And I've been praying and going to church, passing to the church, and not actually stopping. But I just needed someone to talk to. That's all.
Okay, Joe, you're not alone in this situation, and the first thing that just I think was put on my heart is really just start with one little step at a time, and really just converse with God. Okay, you mentioned that you're driving by churches, maybe not necessarily going in. When the time is right and your heart is ready, take that step and go inside and say a little prayer. Maybe go to Mass if you're a Catholic, or if you're not a Catholic, whatever church that you would go to. But really just start with each day just asking God to show Himself to you, because sometimes when we get involved in drinking or other things, it's really just kind of a mechanism to kind of cover up some pain that we might have from something in our lives, something that may have happened, something that may be going on right now. And so I just really, God has the healing power, Joe, and it sometimes can take a little bit of time, but it really begins with just the first small little step, and that is just letting God into your life, into your heart, and just say, God, please work, please get something started in my life that I can recognize and that I can take and go with that. And just little increments, Joe, I think is the way to really get started. Debbie?
I couldn't agree more, Joe, what Jerry had to say. But I just, from a practical sense, Joe, on in addition to going step by step, kind of baby step in it. First of all, Jerry and I are not trained counselors, but we've lived through a lot of life experiences. So just from a practical standpoint, I could just imagine that next drink seems very attractive to you. But like you said at the beginning of your call, you don't want to lose your job. Okay, so you've got things that you need to be responsible for. And that is why there's so many programs and resources out there right now. AA, so many other programs. You could call up, you could internet search things so quickly. You could go to your local parish, your local church, and say, listen, I need some resources, some support to help me get through this. Joe, there's one thing I have to stress. I believe there is no shame at all in wanting, in having this need to mask whatever feeling, the pain or emotional pain we're feeling. There's no shame in that. Every one of us.
I just feel kind of embarrassed and shameless because I'm a grown man and
right.
It's something that I'm dealing with. I am a Catholic. I made my first communion and everything. It's just that I haven't been to church in a long time. But every morning I pray for God to help me to get rid of this problem, and I'm hoping one day that it'll stop.
Well, but
like you said,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Joe, but there's no accident that you called in. There's no accident that you expressed it. So God is helping you right now. The reason why the conversation you're having right now with both of us, that you are open to it. You've got to somehow shelve that shame, because that'll stop you from getting help. Trust me when I tell you that, because I've lived it. Okay, it's not the same type of circumstances, but I've lived it. When people get embarrassed, or they feel like I should be able to overcome this myself, I'm a grown adult, I could do this, they stop themselves from getting help. So, Joe, can you hang on? You hear that music? Please hang on with us, because I know Jerry has a little more to say, but I think you're very close to getting the help and the resources you need to master this, Joe. I feel it strongly. Hang on with us. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We'll be right back.
Father Robert Spitzer.
First of all, you will get a much deeper awareness of your faith, much deeper awareness of the evidence for your faith, explanations of tough theological issues, how science and reason and faith come together, and above all, a deeper awareness of how to practice your faith and how to live it.
Father Spitzer's Universe with Father Robert Spitzer. Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Christ is the Answer with Father John Riccardo.
John, chapter 8, verse 51. Jesus is in a discussion with some of the leaders of the Jews. They're talking about Abraham. Abraham lived 1,500 years before the time of Jesus. So in the course of the discussion, Jesus says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." He says that often in the Gospels. "He who keeps my word or believes in me will never die." To which the Jews say, "Now we know you have a demon." And they say, "Abraham died, as did the prophets. All the patriarchs, the great men and women of the history of Israel. All these people died, and you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? And the prophets who died?" And Jesus says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad." To which the Jews say, "You are not yet 50 years old, and you've seen Abraham?" And Jesus answers, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am."
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
The only thing new about the heresies in the church and the schisms in the church today is it's mixed with satanic worship. We in the church have gone from enneagrams to centering prayer to solstice worship to goddesses. And you buy it as something new.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
So happy you're with us. We're talking to Joe in Texas, and Joe, you're still with us. You're still on the line, I believe, right?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Okay. So Joe, I just wanted to again reiterate to shelve this. If you can shelve this idea of feeling embarrassed or ashamed of what is transpiring in your life, because here's the thing: every single one of us goes through problems, whether we express them on to the outside world or we hold them within. We're all going through stuff. Jerry always likes to say, I love the wreckage that is me. I mean, and you've heard all the statements that you don't know what kind of battles people are fighting inside of themselves. It is so true, Joe. But right now, Joe, there are so many resources. In fact, for drinking or any other addiction, there are a ton of programs out there that you could participate in that will enable you to be the best version of yourself, Joe, where you can shine, where you could get through this, you could master it. It's a lot, I shouldn't say easier, but it's right in front of you, Joe. You just have to kind of step away from the feelings that you're feeling of wanting to, cover it up, if you will, or not let anybody know, because we've all been there. I don't know if that helps you at all, but I would love to hear your responses on it.
Well, yes, it does help. But like I said, I feel shameless and embarrassed, but now that I talk to somebody, I think I can do the next step. And go ahead and take care of it.
Yeah, and Joe, I don't know if you have, you probably, I presume, if not, maybe somebody else you know, but access to the internet, and maybe just do a search for the word shame in the Bible, because there's so many instances, Joe, where it talks about God removing our shame or letting us never be put to shame. Lord, never let me be put to shame. And as Debbie said, every single one of us has things in our lives, whether it's past or present, that are afflicting us right now that really cause us. Shame is like a spiral, Joe, as you probably know. We want to get out of it. We want to rid ourselves of it. But then when we kind of go back to whatever activity or habit that is causing that shame, it just kind of worsens it. But try and see what God has to say about shame in the Bible, and then, as Debbie said, find a program and maybe even some counseling. Joe, there may be something in your past that is weighing on you, something that was done to you, maybe some choices you've made in your life that really are causing you to kind of retreat into the alcohol right now. And we are definitely going to pray for you, Joe, and the whole Take Two family. I'm sure Debbie by now is already praying, lifting Joe up in prayer.
Absolutely. Joe, you've got to keep us posted. We're going to be praying until you tell us to stop praying. We're with you on this, okay? We're journeying with you. So please like Jerry said, take those next small steps to better your life. Each think of it, each step that you're getting closer to the best version of yourself. You deserve it, Joe. And know that the Take Two family is around you in prayer. I agree. We're praying already. Jerry's right. Thank you, Joe, for being so open and honest. I'm sure you've helped millions today.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for the call, and do be in touch with us, as Debbie said. Have a blessed day, and we are praying. 1-800-585-9396. Lines are just jammed here, talking about negotiating, bargaining with God, maybe even after the fact saying, okay, God, you did this for me, so here's what I'm going to do for you. Really, it's not so much, putting a quarter. I sometimes say some people see God as a gumball God. You put a quarter in, you get something out. God isn't that way, but yet in gratitude, I think in love and a relationship is give and take both ways. So nothing at all wrong with saying, God, if you help me here, I'll do such and such for you. So 1-800-585-9396 is the number. All right, back to your calls again. Appreciate the patience of all of you. We're going to get to as many as possible. Ron in Los Angeles is next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Got us on YouTube today. Hi, Ron. Welcome back to the program.
Hey, you guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Good morning, yes, whatever time it is where people are listening. How you doing, Ron?
Hi, Ron.
I figured I'd cover all the bases there. This topic of negotiations is just outrageous. I think the top of the list are dealing with negotiating for mercy, grace, and freedom. Mercy for the craziness that I'm dealing with physically, and my father, who, again, took another fall last night. I'm looking at the graces to be able to be sustained in all this madness, and the freedoms from the addiction and the worries that I've been dealing with. So trying to cover all the bases there.
Well, Ron, were you just listening to Joe? I presume you were listening to Joe's call?
Yeah.
And Ron, when you just used the word addiction, I'm pleased that you use that, because I think it's so important that, and I'm hoping that Joe, I heard his radio in the background, so I'm hoping he's still listening. I think it's so important to just kind of walk together. We lock arms together, know that we're kind of all in this together, and sort of, Ron, in a way, you reiterated that what we shared with Joe, that we're all facing these struggles, we're all facing these uphill battles, and like you said, kind of negotiating with God for mercy and grace and freedom. Yes, of course we are, because we're in this world where there's a lot of things around us that are out of our control, and we're trying to make sense of it. So Ron, I'm glad that you were the next call, because I think your story, it inspires all of us, and it helps us all to just keep moving forward. That's what I get from you every time you call, Ron, just so you know.
Well, I'm grateful that I'm still alive and moving and kicking and all that. I mean, in fact, I've been thinking of the nickname Cinderfella lately because of all the stuff I'm dealing with in my living conditions and everything else.
Right.
And, with Dad's fall, with all the chaos and trying to get him off the floor, my heart was already running at 145. I mean, I was dealing with issues. Mom's trying to get in there and try to help him up, but she's in a condition where she can damage her back. I mean, it was just craziness that was going on with that. But this is, again, the sixth time he's hit the floor in about 2 weeks because of his own physical and mental conditions that are just wreaking havoc on him. And so I had to think, I'm looking at mercy because I'm dealing with situations of helping him out with all the memories of the brokenness that came about in this family. I'm looking for the grace so that I can do what God asks me to do, and at the same time still fighting with my own needs for freedom from the addictions that have been, just intertwined in my life. And one of those specific is at least 5 decades long. And I keep asking and praying, what do I need to do to finally kick this monkey off my back?
Well, Ron, Debbie and I know from your calls to the show and your emails that, you are asking God for help with some personal things. But what I really appreciate is that you are caring for both of your parents in a way, your father more than your mother. Your mother is still very more capable and active and so forth. But, we all need help. We need help with these things. And I think it's important for us to realize what it seems like you have realized. God, I can't do this. I can't do this alone. So I need your help. And there's nothing at all wrong with that little bargaining chip saying, God, and I know you pray your rosary and things like that. So you're being very unselfish in asking God for the help in these situations. So I really admire you for that, Ron.
I thank you. And my prayers are always out there for the two of you and all the family members as I hear them on the radio and, see the prayer wall messages that are posted, including my own in process as well. But, there are days like I had before when we talked about storms in our lives, and there are days when these storms just hit us really square in the eye, and it's in-your-face reality. And that's usually when we are in the biggest terms of negotiation to get out of that particular moment.
Right. I agree. See, it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show. I think it's kind of natural for us to sort of negotiate because who wants to be in the middle of these storms? I mean, I know I don't want to be. I mean, who would want to opt for that? So obviously you're going to try to get some relief or some help. So yeah, I would think that's very true. Ron, you're just incredible. I tell you what, every time you call, it just makes me realize I just, like Jerry always says, I got to put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving forward. And I tell you, thank you.
Yeah, Ron, thanks for the call. Got a lot of people here. We want to get on the show. We'll be talking offline or off the air, I should say, perhaps. Hey, don't forget, folks, podcasting. You can catch Take Two with Jerry and Debbie via podcast or any EWTN program. Simply log on to EWTN.com/podcast. What does that mean? Well, if you have a device of some kind, your smartphone, your tablet, whatever, the way I understand it is you just log on and you plug in or you kind of point your device toward a particular web address, and it's for that different show. And every time a new episode is uploaded there, it can download right onto your device. So you can take me and Debbie with you wherever you want. That's if you're crazy enough to do that. So.
I don't know if people want to do that. Do you think they want to do that? Okay. Patrick, you have been waiting so patiently in Minnesota, listening on Facebook or watching on Facebook Live. Hi, Patrick. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Thank you for having me on your radio show. And anyway, I wanted to share my story, talking about, bargaining with God. But first, let me share this with you. I actually was, a little bit about my background. I was born in India. I was picked up by Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta. It was the second home in Bombay, India, that Mother Teresa picked me. My mother left me on the street of India. And then I was put in a Catholic orphanage, and then I came to the United States. I was adopted to a family in Connecticut. My father was a judge. He adopted 5 of us, and he had 9 of his own. 2 from India, 2 from Vietnam, 1 from Hong Kong. And so, anyway, I know what's like, being poor and everything. So, anyway, then you're wondering how I came to Minnesota. I met my wife in Yugoslavia, Medjugorje. And I moved to Minnesota, and I married at age 20. I've been married for 26 years, And then, I'm promoting a holy nun. This is what I was bargaining with God, This nun appeared to me in 2010 at the grotto when I was looking at the Blessed Virgin Mary statue while I was painting the light post right by it. And I was telling the Virgin Mary, I hope I'm doing a good job for you. And then I said that again. I hope I'm doing a good job for you. And I said, Mother, I hope that my work is, that you're pleased with my work. And so all of a sudden this nun appeared to me. I've never heard of her. But later on I found out her name was Sister Nella. The story's been out there for such a long time. She died in 1926. She was only 26 years old. And so anyway, I went to the Benedictine monastery, they're wonderful nuns, and I said, do you know Sister Nella? And they said, yeah, she was she was a very young nun who passed away. She suffered so much. And I said, well, this nun appeared to me, and I said, how come she's not a saint? So anyway, I was working on a canonization, I told the bishop my story, and so the bishop said, well, if only the Benedictine gets on board, then I will allow that to happen. So, the Benedictines weren't ready for it. So I just kept praying. Once a month, I would go to the grotto, and sometimes we get busloads of people coming, and they would pray with me the rosary, the scriptural rosary, and then I would pray the divine chaplet, and I would say, Lord, I ask you to open up her canonization. And I would pray that every day in front of her grave. There were so many people joining me once a month. We did that for close to 4 years straight in a row. Then just 3 or 4 days ago, I got the good news. I remember the bishop came to my house. I invited him for lunch. And then he said, Pat, why can't you engage them? It's like I'm being, and I said, sure, I'll try. So I met this mother, Mother Susan. She's wonderful. Oh, she just touched my heart, and she gave me about a half hour to tell my story to her, And then she said, Pat, yes, you may open up her canonization. Almost give you permission, and then I said, well, you guys send a letter to the bishop, and then he said, well, we'll talk to the bishop, and we'll take care of it. I call this a miracle, and most of it, I give the credit is to the Blessed Sacrament, because what happened was, for 26 years, I would go to the Blessed Sacrament once a week,
Real quick, Patrick, if you can.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I would pray, and then what happened was that anyway, this past 3 weeks, I wanted to give more. I wanted to bargain with the Lord more for this for this one to open up. And so anyway, I gave 3 weeks of it, and finally my prayers were answered. And I tell people this is where everything all begins. Is in the Blessed Sacrament. It's talking to our Lord. And sometimes you have to give extra, instead of just once a week. Try going every day, once for an hour. And so I did that for the first time, and within 3 weeks, my prayers were answered, and now I get a chance to promote this nun. So if anybody would want to know about this holy nun, my Gmail, painterpat123 @gmail.com. painterpat123 @gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Well, and this is beauty of this, Debbie, is I have not heard of Sister Nella. I'm going to try and look her up on the internet, but this is something that, God, in God's time, those whom He wants to be beatified and ultimately canonized, He will see to it that it happens. And Patrick obviously discovered her and had a real love for her. I mean, she apparently, according to him, came to him, in that appearance. And so, it's just an interesting story.
Yes, Patrick, I love your story because of the way you started your life. When you talked about Saint Teresa of Calcutta, I mean, how amazing is that? Your journey is just incredible, and then your faith is even more so inspiring. I love every part of it. I could have listened to you for hours. You may get a kick out of this. Saint Teresa of Calcutta is one of the saints we pray to at the beginning of every single show. So there's our connection right there. Thank you for that wonderful story, and just reminding us the power of being in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Jerry, I just have to say this real quickly. Joe in Texas, if you're listening, we are getting flooded with calls, and texts are coming in like crazy saying, please let Joe know we're praying for him, we're pulling for him. Joe, start feeling the spiritual support because it's happening. Please understand that. Joe, I pray you're listening still.
Yeah, Patrick, thanks again for the call. We got, again, still full phone lines, so we'll get to as many of you as we can. Thanks a lot for your patience, especially Rick in Ohio. Rick, you've been waiting quite a while here, so we're going to go to you next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hello, Rick. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Yeah, I'm glad you're taking my call. I've been having a tremendous amount of problems, and I hadn't worked for quite a few years, and I did go back to work about a month ago, and that seemed to be going okay. And then what happened was I got in a car wreck last night, and I wrecked my car. Luckily, no one was injured. At least I hope no one was injured. I'm hoping the other guy won't sue or anything. And now I just kind of I'm just so full of depression and fears, and I'm hoping for everyone's prayers. And I know. Now I don't even want to leave my bedroom and go outside or anything. It's just, I'm so full of depression and fears and anxiety. My life savings are wiped out. And like I said, I was kind of getting better, and then I wrecked my car. I'm going back to work and stuff.
Rick, do you have, are you, I don't know, if you want to reveal, are you married? Do you have family? Anybody close that can really, you can just kind of huddle up with? You really kind of need to sort of retreat into an environment of support right now is what I'm feeling, just because, this is a lot. You really have been hit with a lot of stuff right here, and the worst thing that can happen in a situation like that, I think, is feeling alone, feeling kind of isolated and like, wow, I'm alone and all of this stuff is coming at me and there's no way I can deal with all of this stuff. Well, you can, Rick, and God can help you, but He often sends that help in the form of other people. So I don't know, do you have anybody that you could kind of regroup, circle back with, and just get some support in all of this?
Well, I am living with a relative right now, thank God. But I think I'm just so full of depression. The thing that worries me too is I don't want to leave the bedroom, and that's not a good thing. It's
right. Right.
The bedroom, it's like a womb, and the outside world is so fearful to me.
Right. Right. Well, you're safe. You're safe in your surroundings. I get that, but here's the thing, Rick. Things are not going to change within the midst of 5 feet around you. So you've got, like Jerry said, if you were listening to Joe when Joe called in, Jerry said you've got to kind of baby step it. You got to put one step in front of the other and celebrate each accomplishment, whether it be that you get out for a walk or go to work, show up to work, or try to go look for another car, or try to find another way to make money. Here's the thing about money, okay? I do a talk on this. You can make that money back, okay? And that is right now, that's the least of your problems. What you need to do is take care of yourself. And there are resources out there. There's counseling. There's even stuff on the internet that can help you through the depression. We're not counselors, Rick, but you don't have to live in this little cocoon. You don't have to. And as a matter of fact, it's not really going to bring you that ultimate peace and contentment, because you're not going to find it all in that 5 feet around you. So I agree with Jerry when he said with Joe, you got to just celebrate each small accomplishment every day, and you'll have 3 and 4 a day, and then 5 and 6 a day, 7 and 8. Before you know it, you're back out there in the world engaging, Rick. But I agree, you need that support around you. You've got to enlist people, go to your church, go to your parish. I mean, ask people, say, I need help right now. There's no shame in saying I need help. I ask for it every day. I love asking for help. So I don't know if that at all resonates with you, Rick. Do you think that's something you could even try today? Just celebrate the little accomplishments you can do each day?
Yeah, one thing I agree with everything you're saying, and thank you. I've listened to your program a lot, and I know Jerry had said that he suffered with depression, I think in 2011, pretty severe. Can he give me and the viewers any tips about beating depression real quick?
I wish I could, Rick. Well, I'll tell you what, there were a lot of things that helped me, and I did. I got counseling. I sought spiritual direction. But I will tell you, Rick, I know what it's like to not want to leave your bedroom. I would spend hours just laying on my bed looking up at the ceiling fan, and I would look at the clock, and it would be whatever time, and I would look back, and I'd think, boy, an hour or two must have passed, and maybe 5 minutes had gone by. And so there's no one-size-fits-all type of depression. But I think for me, Rick, I'll be honest with you, and I've shared this on the show, one of the things that I think helped me was I let God know how I felt about it. And I may have crossed a line there, and I don't encourage anyone else to do that, but I really let God have it with both barrels. And I went to confession for that. I repented in bitter, bitter tears over it, but I really felt like, God was part of what God, I think, allowed me to go through that for, Rick, was to free me up to really, truly know Him and His love and His providence, His care for me, which I didn't know just from, my early life and so forth. And so I finally got honest with God, and that changed my relationship with Him. So I encourage you in a reverent, respectful, holy way, if you really need to unload on God. We did a show sometime back called Jesus is a Big Boy. And sometimes we think, he's like a little porcelain statue. I can't really let him know how I'm feeling, that I don't like this. And God, you have to do something. And I'm expecting it. I'm demanding it. Okay? Some people might take that the wrong way. But you're in a situation right now where you need His help very, very much. And so I just firmly believe, Rick, there's nothing wrong with letting Him know that. What do you think?
Yeah. Right now I am taking... as part of my healing before all these problems hit, I started the RCA program with a wonderful Catholic priest, and I want to continue with that. But I got to try and beat these fears to get out of the bedroom and so forth. I imagine from what you're saying, Jared, it sounds like you had the same situation with the bedroom and not wanting to go into the outside world and stuff.
I did, Rick. I had this. They had it was one of those pull-down blinds, and I would pull it down, and I taped the sides of it shut so that light wouldn't get in. And when the first lights of morning came, I would wake up and I would pull the comforter over my head and just bury myself in the darkness for a couple hours. And I didn't know how I was ever going to get out of that. But I did those things that Debbie's talking about, Rick. I encourage you, please take those steps. Go to see somebody, get counseling, see a priest. I've heard them called prayers of the feet. If all you can do is take one step out of that bedroom today, and then you just jump back in there, do it. And tomorrow, 2 steps out of that bedroom. Slow progress is better than no progress. Carol, Todd, Jane, Jim, please forgive us. Wish we had another many hours. Rick, thanks for the call. You're in our prayers. Debbie, wow. You
can always email us, take2@EWTN.com. Thank you so much for sharing from your hearts. We just pray that you have a beautiful and blessed weekend. Keep up the prayers for all of the Take Two family. We all need it. So keep up the prayers. Turn up the heat. Storm heaven. We'll see you real soon.